This is episode 34 of the Lifestyle Entrepreneur Podcast. And my next guest is Carrie Green, who is going to talk about how she built Female Entrepreneur Association and gained over 85,000 likes on Facebook in less than a year for her business, where she'll also share key tips, strategies, and techniques that you can turn around and implement with your Facebook strategies to help you do the same. Welcome to the Lifestyle Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Kris Gilbertson, and I'm an author, speaker, and a coach to teaching you how to launch your own successful podcast. And the reason I designed this show is to bring you the top lifestyle entrepreneur experts from all over the world for them to share their key strategies that they've used to launch their own businesses and allow them to live life on their own terms. So tune in every Friday for new episodes and come on over and join the Lifestyle Entrepreneur community at www.lifestyleacademy.com. There you're going to receive VIP training from specific guests from the podcast, along with being able to watch all of the interviews. And I'll also be making it really easy for you to implement these strategies that you're hearing by sending you what I like to call the Lifestyle Cliff Notes on the best of the best lessons learned on the podcast. So let's get started. All right, so before we get started with the show, I just want to thank everyone who is subscribing and leaving awesome reviews in iTunes. I'm so excited that people are enjoying these interviews, and I'm excited to announce First Fridays. So what I'm going to be doing the first Friday of every month, we're going to have a raffle for those of you that have subscribed to the podcast and then also left a review, and it'll be a raffle for $25 gift cards from iTunes, Amazon, eBay, all over the place. So all you simply need to do is just subscribe to the podcast in iTunes and then leave us a review, and your name will go in a hat, and we'll announce that the first Friday of every month. And this week's shout out goes out to Aqua Jaime. They say outstanding content, 5 stars. Kris is an amazing entrepreneur. Her energy, passion, and enthusiasm shines through her communication. I absolutely love her show. Well, Aqua, thank you so much. I love reading all these reviews that you're leaving. It's so encouraging and inspiring for the show to want to keep bringing you incredible guests and content to help you in your businesses. So if you haven't left a review yet, head on over to iTunes, simply subscribe, and then leave a rating and a review on the show. Tell us what you think, what you like. Tell us about content that you're looking for to help you in your business. I love finding out what you're looking for so I can make sure that you keep getting the right content to help you on your journey. So let's get into today's episode with Carrie and how she's going to help you explode Facebook. Well, welcome back. I'm so excited for our guest today. She's become a really good friend of mine, and she is just a phenomenal marketer and entrepreneur. Her name is Carrie Green, and she is the founder of the Female Entrepreneur Association, which is an organization of over 85,000 women entrepreneurs that are all thriving to grow their businesses. And Carrie's community is really about motivating and inspiring women entrepreneurs to step out and share their message, create a thriving business, and her whole community is based on that. She's got motivational, inspirational tips on a daily basis on her Facebook page. So definitely want to check her out over there. But what's more important is she's helping women step up and really create a business that helps them create the lifestyle that they want to live, whatever that is for their choice. So Carrie, I'm so excited to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited. So what I love, and just to share the story, because this has been a big way that Carrie's been able to monetize her group for her business, is through joint ventures. And that's how we actually got connected. So I'd love for you just to start out by sharing how you created this phenomenal community and what your story was, because I know you have a phenomenal story on how you got started and really took the leap to become an entrepreneur.
So I took the leap to become an entrepreneur back when I was 20. Gosh, it's a bit scary. Time flies. So it's kind of like, and not that many people know this, I think. So I started a business when I was 20. I'd just finished my first year of studying law at university, and I ran out of money. So I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So I had to look into different jobs, and then this opportunity came up to start this online business. It was to do with like mobile phones. So I did not have a clue about mobile phones. I had no idea how to run a business. But I was like, I'm just going to do this because it sounded way more fun than getting a job. So started this business with no clue, asked so many questions to so many people, and then managed to like set things up. So over the next 2 years when I was at university, I was basically learning how to build this business. And when I graduated, I think it was turning over like £10,000 a month. It was crazy. And then I was just like, oh my gosh, this is going to be way more fun than being a lawyer. So I thought, I'll be an entrepreneur. So the goal was to take it global, to reach more people. So over the next couple of years, that's what we did. We focused on how we could develop all of our marketing strategies to reach more. So we got like 100,000 visits a month to the website. We were selling thousands of codes all over the world. And it was amazing. And we completely systemized the whole thing. So we'd outsource all the different tasks. So basically, I didn't have to do anything, which on the one hand was amazing. But on the other hand, was really boring, and I felt really isolated because I was still running this. I spent a lot of time running it by myself from my apartment. So I literally had a little bit of a crisis and slipped into this really negative frame of mind and just was like questioning what I was doing in my life. So packed my bags, went traveling to Australia hoping to have an epiphany. Didn't have one, came back, felt even worse because like, what am I doing with my life? And had really bad weather in the UK. And then in 2011, it just really hit me that the reason I was in that situation is because of myself, and that I needed to do something about it and change my mindset. So I decided to do that. And so I decided that I was going to proactively do something about the fact I felt isolated and lonely. And that's what led me to start the Female Entrepreneur Association, to be able to connect with like-minded women and to do something that was going to inspire people that were just like me. And help them to make their dreams come true at the same time as trying to make my own dreams come true. So that's how it really all got started.
Oh, I love it. It's brilliant. I love that. And I really like the point that you touch on about the isolation, because that is, I think, probably one of the biggest sore points for most entrepreneurs, especially as women, is because of that isolation where you just kind of feel like you're going a little bit crazy and you're not sure if you're going the right direction. So let's talk about how you really started to create your community, because you have 85,000 women in less than, a year and a half. That's amazing at what you've been able to do. So I know we're going to get into your Facebook strategy in a little bit, but I want you to first talk about how you emulsified this idea and how you actually launched it.
So the moment that I realised that I needed to take my own life in like what I was doing in life, in like I could take control of the situation, then I literally sat down and made a plan of what I was going to do. So I decided to create a website. Luckily for me, because I'd had all this other experience building an online business, I'd learned a little bit about building websites, even though I was pretty bad at doing it, to be fair. So put a website together, and then I decided that I was going to share stories about other entrepreneurs who were doing amazing things. But the problem was I didn't know any. So I got on LinkedIn and started joining relevant groups. And that's where I began to ask other women if they would want to share their story on my website. So I got inundated with these people saying I'd absolutely love to, like women from all over the world. And I was like, oh my goodness. So that's how it started, me publishing these stories of women from around the world. And as I was publishing them, though, no one was reading them. So I was like, I need to work on this. I need to figure out a way to get traffic. So that's what I started to do. And that's when I started to think about how I was going to build the traffic. And that's when this whole idea to focus on Facebook came in, because there's so many different social platforms out there. And I think that obviously it's different for everyone. But for me, I'm good when I'm focusing on one thing. So I decided that I was going to focus on Facebook, and I wanted to get 25,000 fans and I didn't know how. So literally just took a screenshot of my fan page, and I remember opening it up in Photoshop and changing it from like saying, I don't know, 20 or something, and changing it to 25,000, printing it off, sticking it in my goal box and thinking I'm going to make this happen, but I just don't know how. And then working so hard to figure it out and to make it happen. And then once that started to build and Facebook started to build, so did the community, and then so did the traffic. And actually also the other day, I looked back over my Google Analytics for the whole time since right back to the beginning. And I looked to see where did the spike start to occur? Like, what was it that started to get my traffic up and my community really up? And I think it was this drive on Facebook, but also it started when I started my email newsletter. I started to do the weekly newsletter. And when I started to do that, I think it was because I was consistently interacting with people once a week, that they kept coming back and they tell people about it because they're like, this is really inspiring, you should check this out. And that started to really help me to build it because I was being consistent about something. So that was really interesting to look back and see how it did grow.
I love that, and I love to hear that because consistency is another thing where a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with that. They get started with something, they get all excited, and then they do a great job, and then 30 days later, they're like nowhere to be found, or they're off to the next thing,
Exactly.
whatever the next thing is. And
Yeah.
we've all been guilty of that, but I really like that staying consistent because for me, having one main platform to start and then your email is like a no-brainer. It's a necessity, and that email component, that's really where you're able to really monetize, and not even that, but really connect, foster that relationship, and that going forward. So let's talk about that for a second. So what type of content were you using for your email newsletter?
So I actually went back over this the other day and I went back and read the first few emails I sent out. They were so bad. They were terrible. Um, I just started off by trying to put something together that would be a little bit inspiring. So I had like a tip of the day, I had an inspiring quote, I had a woman of the week, and I did these little bits. And I got started, and then as the weeks went by, I started to think, oh my gosh, maybe I could talk about this, and then I started thinking about my own experience of things, and then writing like almost like a blog post on it. At first, I was just writing the emails and it didn't really link to anywhere. And then I started to think I need to drive traffic to the website. So then I would post out the emails and it would have like a blog post that I would send people to. And then obviously I started to do the videos every week and changed and did that, which has been so powerful because people then get to know you and can see really what you're like, and it takes it to another level. And so I began doing that once a week, and that's just been incredible. But it literally started, so it was rubbish when I started it.
Well, we all start somewhere, and it's so funny because we're always going to look back hindsight and be like, oh my gosh, that was horrible. I mean, because you keep evolving, but that's what you did. You found you just got started with it. You took action, and then it's evolved and it's become better and it's become better. And now you've got just a great hub of where people can connect, where women entrepreneurs can gather. So I think that's amazing. So let's dive into your Facebook strategy because I know you get this question all the time and how you've been able to build this. And I know you were very strategic about it. And I love that goal where I think we all should do that. Take this from Carrie's interview, pick what your goal is and visualize it. Like right here, right next to me is my whole wall is a vision board. And I can see the parts that I've chunked off and then the parts where I haven't focused, where it's time to focus on that. So I'd love for you to share that on how you did that, maybe the steps that you took to launch that. I think that's fantastic.
So all about the Facebook page, yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So with Facebook, I think the most important part of it is knowing what you're trying to achieve and knowing what your purpose is. And I think that's really important because I think people get really confused and think that it's about basically getting on there so that you can sell, or that you get on there and it's all about me, what's in it for me, what's in it for me. And I think that's perhaps the wrong way to look at it. And when I got on there, I started to think, what could I do that would really engage with people, that's really in alignment with what I'm trying to achieve? And I think that, this goes to the heart of any sort of marketing you do. You have to understand why you're doing it, what the mission is. So, for example, for me, it's all about inspiring and empowering women to achieve incredible things and build successful businesses. So every time I was posting out, it was in alignment with that message, so that people then started to see really quickly what they could expect to receive from me, what they could expect to get from being a fan of that page. So that then helped me to really start to build this solid foundation of people that really loved my page. So I think that's the most important thing, understand why you're doing it, what the mission is, what the purpose is. And then I think also it's obviously knowing who your audience is so important, because like, if you don't know that, then how do you know what style to post out in, or how do you know how the context of of how to post out? So I think that's so important as well, is to understand, like, for example, obviously I know all my followers are females, really, so a lot of my stuff is really feminine, and which I love, because I just feel like I can express my that side of me.
Yeah, that's you.
So I think that's really helped. So every time I post something out, I just think, is this going to really resonate with my audience? Which is why I think you need to really be clear on who they are. And then I think that the other things that have really helped me are being consistently posting out. You know, you can't just do it for a week and then just be like, oh, no, I'm too busy this week, I'm not going to do it. You really have to keep it up and be really consistent. And I mean, sometimes I get so busy that have periods where I'm not very good, but on the whole I am really consistent about it, and I try and do things like every Monday I do a Motivation Monday post, every Tuesday I have obviously my weekly video that goes out, and I try and do, and like every day I try and do a tip of the day, every day I have inspirational quotes, so that I mix it up with the content that I'm sharing, but that people get used to the fact that they know, oh, it's Monday, Carrie's going to do Motivation Monday. So I think that's really good, is to be consistent. And other thing is consistently be adding value. And I think this is where people really go wrong on Facebook, where they are always trying to promote something or sell something. And I just think you've really got to get into the shoes of your audience and think, if this was popping up in my newsfeed, would I want to engage with it, or would I think, oh, it's all right, no, I can't, I wish that, you know, how would you react? And I think that's so key, is knowing, like, connecting and adding value to your audience, with your audience, because that is just, I think that is probably one of the most important things, because if you put a load of rubbish out there, that no one's going to be a fan of your page for very long.
Exactly.
And I think the more value you add, the more people share your stuff, the more people like your stuff and want to engage with you and want to get to know you more and want to get to know about every other part of your business as well. So I think those things are the biggest things I've done. I've tried out obviously Facebook advertising, and I think that's really good as well when you're trying to build a fan page. It's trial and error, but I think that Facebook advertising can work really well when you're building a fan page. But you need to obviously have your strategy behind why you're doing it, why you're trying to get more fans, what it's all about. But I think that it's really, when you just put a bit of effort in and create a little strategy for Facebook, it's just incredible the kind of results that you can get from a little bit of effort.
Yeah.
So those would be, I think, the top things that those are definitely the things that I did, and I think the top things that I would suggest other people do.
That's fantastic. So are there specific posts and because with Facebook, it really is about the story and about the community that you're building. And it's like you said, it's not just the promotional side, but did you find your audience resonated with different images or posts versus other things when you were growing it?
I felt like with the inspirational quotes, people resonated and shared those a lot, which was good, because it gets people, it gets people engaging. So that's good. I find posts that this is the other thing as well, I think you have to be really authentic when you post out. It has to be really genuine, because people really get that, and they can feel that, they can connect with it. But I think the visual stuff works, that like the quotes. Obviously things where you're offering out and you're posting out about freebies and things like that obviously go down really well and obviously get lots of shares. Also asking your audience questions, getting them to engage. I've tried things before where I've done like Follow Friday, where you can share your Twitter feed or you can share your Facebook fan page, and people can get involved in following each other, and things like that go down really well. It goes down well when you ask people for their opinion, because I feel valued. So I think that's really good. So there are so many different techniques that you can use to help you to grow your page and get that interaction. One of the things I was going to say is, I think it's really important that what you post out looks good. If you're going to post out images, it really needs to look good. And I think it's the same with throughout your whole entire brand, all your marketing and your website. It really needs to look the part, because if something looks the part, people believe in it more. And that is just so crucial. I don't think enough people put enough effort into design when I do think it's really crucial.
I agree, and a lot of feed. I mean, even on the Facebook feed, it's going to where you can just have it for the images that scroll in the feed. And with the birth of Pinterest and Instagram and how those have taken off, especially for women entrepreneurs, we're so visual and we're so into how it looks and how it feels and the emotion behind that image. So I completely agree with that. To have and have that be a part of your strategy, have that be a part of how those images are going to draw your audience in and engage them. So I think that's brilliant. And those 5 tips that you talked about on the different ways to engage with the quotes, with the shareables, the different type of free content. You said opinions, all of those things are great because it changes it up, brings variety in, and I love that. I think that's fantastic. So did you see, was there a certain point at a time when you saw the jump happen? Like, a lot of people talk about there's the tipping point in social media when you get to a certain point and then it starts to really escalate. Did you see that?
No, I don't think so. I think it was just really gradual. But then I will say, I did jump from 34,000 fans to 50,000 fans in a really short space of time. And that came about because I set myself a mission. Actually, it was in March this year. And I went from, had 34,000 fans. And I thought I'll try and get to 40,000 by the end of the month. And I was talking to a friend and they were like, Carrie, you always try and tell people, you tell people to go big or go home. I think you need to take your own advice. Go to 50,000.
I love it.
No, I don't think I can. And he was like, do it. And I was like, oh God. So I was like, how am I going to make this happen? How am I going to go from like 34,000 to 50,000 in less than a month? So I was trying to work through all these different ideas and I was planning it out. And then this idea popped into my head to do this thing called Mission for March. So I thought everybody could do a really big mission so that by the end of March they've achieved something big. And so that's what I did. And I put all the stuff that was helping me on my mission, I put it into like a printable and had it designed really nicely and created this free printable so that everyone can get involved, which was great because it got me really focused on my goal, got everyone else involved in it too, and then helped me to really get everyone talking about my fan page because there was so much fun going on there.
Yeah.
So that was good, and then that made it jump from 34,000 to 50,000. So that was a massive jump.
Keep going.
Since then, it has grown. It was growing anyway, but I mean, it makes me realise that if you put your mind to something, you can make it happen. If you put enough effort and enough focus into it, you really can make it happen.
Exactly. And I love that. The aha there for me is really having a short time period of an activity based where, and like you said, there was so much fun going on there. People wanted to show up daily and then be sharing out your content. I think that's fantastic. And every business could incorporate that some way, shape, or form to create that. I'm going to actually borrow that idea because I'm just getting into Facebook now and I'm seeing that you really have to have a strategy behind what you're doing and you have to constantly be growing to keep the engagement up. That's one of the things I've seen with Facebook. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's absolutely brilliant. So are there any other tips that you can share on Facebook strategies and what really works?
I think really just stick with it and just I think that's really the most important thing. Like, I was at an event recently and somebody asked me this, how did you build your audience up? And I said, I think you're forgetting that, 2 years ago when I started this, or however long ago, it was probably longer than that now. But I mean, I only started seriously getting into Facebook last year. But when I started it, I was at 0. There was no fans, there was no followers, no one knew who I was. And it's taken me, that solid time every single day to be able to get to where I am now. And I think we all do it. It's so easy to look at the end, where someone's at now, at that end point, and think, oh my gosh, that's amazing, but I could never do that. And I just think that is the key thing, is consistency. Like, the number of people I've met over the past few years who have had the most amazing ideas, and they get started, they're so enthusiastic, and then they hit these walls, and then they start to think, oh, I can't do this, and they start to lose hope and they lose faith, and then they start to think, actually, should it be this hard? Maybe I'm not doing the right thing. Maybe I need to do something else because it shouldn't be this difficult. And then they think something else seems a bit more shiny over there, so they go over there and think, oh, I know, I'll do this, and the whole process starts off again. And you just think, if you'd have stuck with the first thing for this whole time, where would you be now? And I just think that is so important, and it's the same with anything, but it's the same with Facebook, or with trying to make it big. Anyone can make it happen. Anyone can. You've just got to be consistent about it. And all those other tips about really understanding what you're doing, why you're doing it, who your audience are, adding value, so much value. Like, don't be afraid to give too much away. One of my mentors used to say, fire your big guns first. And I think it's right. You shouldn't be afraid to give value or to really help people. And so, because people know when people are holding back, people can tell. So just give as much help as you can and add that value, make it fun for people, and do, make it look good, make it feel good, and people will want to come back for more and more and more. And I think that's the thing, and it's taken me a long time to figure that out.
Well,
the stuff at the beginning,
and in the beginning, you kind of, especially when you're first getting started as an expert or whatever you want to call it, whatever you're comfortable with, getting started, you're kind of like, oh, I don't want to give it all away because are they going to buy from me then? And it's always refreshing. It's so funny because, I do a lot of webinars, and I was just on a webinar last week, and a couple of people came in and said, I'm so grateful for you sharing so much that you did because I needed to see how you taught for me to buy the product. And had I not done it that way, they want to come into my tribe. So it really is valuable. And giving away free, it's like the reverse thought process where the more you give, the more they can understand about you, how you can help them. And then they want to pay for it, because we have to remember you can keep putting free stuff out, but then people want to pay to get it all in one spot and condensed. So it really is, once you shift that mindset, it's so powerful, Carrie, what you're talking about, to give that. I love that. Fire your big guns first. I mean, go out with a bang, because then people see what you're really, because if they see that, they're going to be like, what are we going to get on the inside? So
yeah, and the thing is, most people have, when you fire your big guns first, most people have got so much more of that stuff to give. And, all the people that are out there doing amazing things are amazing people, and you want to get close to them. And I think when I can't think of a specific example now of a person, but, people who put all this amazing stuff out there, and you just think, I want to get closer to that person. I want to know inside their mind, like, how they're doing it, how it works. And I think, so that's why I think giving it away, or adding that value and giving it away, is powerful.
I love that. And the other thing I want to add to that, because I know our audience is a lot the same in one area here. Some of them are just getting started, and some of them think, well, if I give it all away, then I've got nothing left. What uniquely happens is that you actually will start to create more, because once you get in the process of doing that, and I'm sure you get this from a lot of your women entrepreneurs, they're like, I had no idea I had all this amazing content inside of me until you get started. So that'll help propel that even more forward, is what I found with myself, because I used to be like that. I'm like, oh, I'm not the expert. I don't know about this. Where am I going to get started? And then I got out there and I was like, wow, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. And so it really does start to tumble. I think that's fantastic. Yeah. So let's talk about how you've been able to monetize your group then, and what you've been able to do to really take this community and still be a profitable business for yourself.
Yeah, because when I first started it, I didn't actually start it as a business. I started it as a little project because I was so isolated running my other business. So it was kind of, so this whole financial journey has been a bit of a strange one, because I obviously didn't build it in the mindset of a business. My other business was obviously all about having a great service, and it really was about being number one in the marketplace, but it was all about, the bottom line was money. That's what we were doing. We were building it for the money. Whereas with the Female Entrepreneur Association, I was trying to do something that meant something in my life. I was trying to do something that inspired people. So I was coming at it from a different mindset. So when it came to the point where I was fully focused on the Female Entrepreneur Association, when I saw how amazing it was doing, and the feedback was so great, I just thought, I want to focus on this properly. At that point, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to make this financially sustainable. And that was a really hard shift, because to go from just doing something to help other people to thinking, how is this going to be financially sustainable, was hard. And then what I ended up doing then is doing these joint ventures where I was working with other people who were putting amazing stuff out there, who I'd turn to learn from, and who I thought would really be able to add value to my network. So I reached out to them and started doing joint ventures with experts. And that was phenomenal, because not only did it mean that it could help to make the Female Entrepreneur Association financially sustainable, it meant that I was offering more value to my network. The amount of emails I got from people saying, oh my gosh, thank you so much for putting this on. I absolutely loved it. I've learned so much. And I was like, oh my goodness, I need to do more. And then obviously, like, the fact that I was reaching out to experts who were putting on amazing programs that people really knew of, and that was great, because then it started to, people associated me with those people and saw me as being on, on almost like on a level with them, because I was hosting the webinars with them. So that was really powerful. And then obviously I got to know those people. I mean, just like you, and then we've got to know each other. And then it's amazing, because then you build these incredible relationships with people out there who are doing amazing things. So the whole joint venture route was really one of the best decisions I've ever made, I think. And I think that eased me into starting to think about things from a financial perspective, but in a way that it brought it all back to me, to the value, to what can I do that adds more value to my network. And that's what made me think, oh my gosh, if I actually do this stuff, more people in my network actually like what I'm doing, because I'm helping them more. So I was like, this is amazing. So that was the first way I started to generate revenue from it. And then now, this is literally this week, has the members club's launched, which I'm so excited about. And then this is like a step up. Like, people have been asking me about doing this for such a long time, and ever since I started doing these workbooks and challenges and things like that, people are like, please, can you do more of them? I would like one every month, please. So since all of that happened, I just thought, actually, I really need to, and so I have done that now. And so I think this is amazing, because the thing I've been loving so much this week about it is that I've been getting to know people that I wouldn't have really had the chance to get to know before. People live in my network, and being able to help them. And in the forum, there's like there's a question and answer forum. People asking. Someone asked earlier on today, how can I interview really successful people? Obviously, I've interviewed loads, like Michael Gerber and Louise Hay, Marianne Williamson, all these people. So I was like, oh wow. I was like, well, we're in the members club. And then I could just answer back at all the different things that I've learned about it. And I thought I wouldn't have this opportunity normally to be able to share this stuff that I can't, that I can't really share one-on-one with people. So I've just loved it. It's been amazing for the people that want to get more involved and want to get more involved in challenges and things like that. So I'm excited about that.
I'm so excited for you too. This membership group is going to be amazing on so many different levels. And I'm so glad it's launched, because it really is nice to have. And the other thing is, a lot of people want to have that VIP experience, and you can't, like you said, you can't always give that just on you're giving amazing value, but they want to be on the inside, the real inside too. Yeah. So I think that's what's going to be great for you as well with your community.
I think that's the thing, is before there was like the Facebook page and the blog posts, but there wasn't a community as such, whereas now there is, with like specific groups of people in different locations and specific groups of people who are in different types of businesses. So I'm so excited about it and it growing, and to have that space to be able to go and get feedback and to go and get your questions answered, because I mean, when you're working and running a business, it is so lonely and isolating. And
it is.
I feel like you are losing your mind.
Like we were talking about before, yes.
And you need to go to people to get that help and support and inspiration. So I've finally done it. That is a whole story in itself. What an adventure that was. But I'm really, really.
What's the biggest? Because I know we've chatted a little bit a little bit more offline. But what's your biggest aha moment from creating your own membership program that you can share? On what to do or what not to do, maybe.
Well, the biggest aha thing I had was that I realised that making a plan is all well and good, and go ahead and do it. But my plan did not go. Nothing went according to plan whatsoever. Nothing. I mean, everything was completely off track. We had setback after setback after setback. I remember one night driving home, and I was so confused. When you feel like you're on the verge of crying and out of frustration, because I just thought, is this ever going to happen? I remember calling my brother and talking to him about it and just being like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he said to me, Carrie, do you remember when you were learning to drive? And I was like, yeah. He was like, do you remember how confusing it used to be? Like, it used to hurt your head to try and actually figure out how you actually drive the car and shift the gears and do all that stuff at the same time. I was like, yeah. And he said, do you remember how exhausted you used to feel after every single lesson? I was like, yep. And he was like, well, you've got to go through that now, because this is something you've never done. You're doing it for the first time, so it's always going to be hard. And I thought, oh yeah, that's very wise of you. Thanks very much for that. But it's true. And you forget, don't you, that you think, why isn't this easy? I'm setting this goal for myself. Why can't I just do it? But you can't. You don't if you've never done it before. It's always going to have its challenges. So I think that was the thing. So much perseverance, and the thing was though, the further along on this journey I got, like the biggest part for me was actually making the commitment to do it, because it's an idea that I've had. I could have done this idea in March this year. I could have done something, and I didn't. And the biggest challenge was trying to commit to making it happen, because they're like, oh, what's the right way to do it, or I don't know whether it should be this way, should it be that way, and you have all these questions that you put you off doing it. And then so finally when I made the decision to do it, and I actually found a developer to help me to build it and all these different things, and the ball started rolling, it's like you go from having this dream to then starting to believe that it could really happen. And then the further along this process you start to then know with certainty that it is going to happen, and then eventually it does happen. And I think that's what happens when you start taking those little steps. But I think we all have that tendency to like hold back and resist for such a long time, and so that's a big lesson is it for me. Just take those little steps, and if things go off track, be flexible and don't beat yourself up about it too much.
Exactly. And it really, especially in the online space, because I have a lot of people that have had successful businesses offline, and then they come to me and they're like, why isn't this happening faster, or this or that? And it's a whole different landscape. So I like that, one, you make a decision, because that's where our fear comes up, and that's where our apprehension and then our doubts. And when you're in action, a lot of that just goes away. So that's really important. And then having the patience for yourself too, because I've had projects the same way. Same with my launch before. It's in my current one right now. There's always going to be setbacks. That's part of being an entrepreneur, and then understanding. I love your brother's advice. See, you had a headache then, you're going to have one now, but it'll go away. So very, very true. So I'd love for you, before we wrap up here, I know, you're still just you've created an massive organization, but you're still just a baby in the time frame of how long you've been in business. So and I love it because it's so exciting what you've done. So if you had to start over though, and you didn't have any resources or contacts, what would you do differently, and how would you rebuild your platform?
I would get networking much faster. Get out there and networking, building relationships with people, because that's really crucial, to have those like-minded people around you, and also, as well as networking with like-minded people, trying to network with people who are on a level above you, because I feel like when you do that, they really bring you up to their level, which is just so important. So I would start getting out and networking much sooner. But I think the main thing is having that belief in yourself to make it happen. And I think this is what happened for me when I started the Female Entrepreneur Association. I know I still do hold myself back, and I feel like we all do to some extent. But what I started to do back then was I started to really program my mind for success. I started to condition myself, and that changed my life, because I felt like I was set free. I felt all of a sudden like I was on this adventure, and it was my adventure to go and make these amazing things happen. And I started to become the person that I wanted to be. I started to be the person that actually made it happen, that stuck to doing something. And I feel like that just changed everything and helped me when I came up with the idea to launch the magazine and wanted to interview Michael Gerber. I was like, people thought I was crazy. And the old me would have been like, no, come on, Carrie, you can't do this, you can't do that. But the new me was just like, you know what, I'm going to make this happen. And I did. And I think when you've got that belief in yourself, you can have so many breakthroughs. And I just think, for me, that's the most important thing. Yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant. I love it. You got to believe in yourself first before anybody else is. So that's so powerful. And just to make it happen and to get out there and there's so many nuggets here. I'm just so excited. So where can everybody find out more information about you?
So they can head over to the Female Entrepreneur Association, which is femaleentrepreneurassociation.com, or the fan page, which is facebook.com/Female Entrepreneur Association. And come and say hi over there. There's lots going on, lots of inspiration.
Absolutely. I love your organization. I love the women in your group. It's always such a pleasure and honor to work with you and your ladies. And Carrie's put together a special bonus as well. So if you go over to lifestyleacademy.com, and when you sign up, you'll get access to all the bonuses from all the experts. of the lifestyle entrepreneurs on the podcast. But what Carrie's put together is really a mind map for you on a daily basis of for goal planning, and then also a 7-day challenge for guest blogging, which is a phenomenal way for you to grow your audience and start to be able to increase your Facebook as well as your email marketing, which is we're both big proponents of that. So that's where you can find that over at lifestyleacademy.com. And thank you so much, Carrie. I'm excited to have you back in the future. And pleasure having you on the show. And I hope you enjoyed that episode. I'd love to get your feedback here for the Lifestylepreneur podcast right in iTunes. Simply leave us a 5-star and a review letting us know what you like, who you're interested in hearing more from, and what topics you really want help with in your business, that I can bring on those key experts to really fine tune and help you in your business and creating the lifestyle of your dreams. And I'll be giving shout outs, so make sure you put your name and your website address if you want me to share that with the community as well. And again, thanks for listening. I'm so excited that you found the Lifestylepreneur podcast, and I can't wait to connect with you and learn more about your business as we continue to grow this community. So again, have a great day, and I'll talk to you next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Lifestylepreneur podcast. Again, I'm Kris Gilbertson, and I'm committed to bringing you top training from leading lifestylepreneurs all over the world to help you break through and turn your dreams into your ideal lifestyle. And make sure to join us at www.lifestyleacademy.com to receive VIP training from specific guests I interview on the show, so that you can really easily start to implement what you've learned from listening. I know we're all busy, and sometimes we don't have time to listen to the entire podcast or take notes, because I'm always listening on the go. So I like to call it the Lifestyle Cliff Notes to creating your ideal business and make it really simple for you. So those will be sent via the email list. Plus, I also want to connect with you personally, and being on the Lifestyle Academy mailing list is where all the magic happens. We'll host VIP trainings once a month that we can't always bring out on the podcast with even more detailed information. And I also want to connect with you personally. I want to know what's going on in your business and what you need help with, and who I can bring on to aid you in creating your ideal lifestyle. And so I'll be asking questions every once in a while that I want you to reply, and I reply back to you personally. So again, until next time, wishing you on your way to achieving all of your dreams. Talk to you soon.